This is the Jim Fannon Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
I've made one mistake in my life. I should have burned Berlin down. And now the drugs.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Fannon. Every Sunday at noon, we do the Jim Fannon Show here. Drew Comerford is running the board as usual. James Deurloo is in the house, going to play some music for us in the bumpers in and out of commercial. Jeff Burch kicks off the first segment with us. We'll go one-on-one with him, and then one-on-one with Laura Yip. And no, I don't mean boxing. Taking up that challenge. We will talk some Pearl Gloves, and then James Deurloo will come in and talk to us about his career in music and what he's up to, his latest album, his trek around the country, selling the music. Get yourself down with some Dead Piggy. Piggy. Ribfest is on this weekend. It looks good. Well done. Walter Senzik hit that thing hard. Apparently bought 10,000 takeout containers with his sticker on it. It's certainly a conversation piece, and we'll hit that a little bit more later. I got a rack of ribs last night with no sticker, and I got some heat for it. Somebody came up and said, "Hey, where's your sticker?" I said, "I insisted. No political propaganda on my takeout container." And I cleaned, I think I got a couple extra ribs. Bibs ribs? Yeah, they are beautiful. And I cleaned about 6 of them before I couldn't eat anymore. And I left the last 2 on my table with a couple of my friends hanging out. I got back. My friends had taken off. My takeout container was still there, but there was 2 bites out of each of the ribs. Like somebody just said, "Oh, you're not going to take the Senzik sticker, eh? Oh, and you left your take. We're not going to steal your ribs. We're not going to clean them out. We're not going to eat them on you. We'll take 2 bites out of both of them and just leave them for you so you get the message." I thought that was hilarious. Thank you. Anyway, Ribfest continues today and tomorrow. And last night, PeteStock lit it up. We had Peter Gertz in from Theater Crisp last week to talk about it. They're doing the charity event for Red Roof Retreat. All the money went to them, and Hollerado lit it up. They came in. Jake Boyd, the drummer of Hollerado, came in last week to promote the show, and they were beautiful. Really nice crew. Well behaved over at Polonial Park on York Road. But I realize when I'm there watching Theater Crisp that opened up for Hollerado, that's who I came to see. I like Hollerado. They're huge. They've made it. They're making some money from it. They're young guys, know how to rock and roll. But David Cox tap dancing and DJ K-Flip with a stone-cold face. Unbelievable. Jay Beatty on guitar. Kyle spitting out the rap. It was a nice show. And a nice crowd. So all the money went to Red Roof Retreats. They did a nice job out there. And then at Canal Days, I guess, is going off too. Platinum Blonde, Honeymoon Suite. Drew, are you catching this stuff? Drew loves it when I talk to him when the mics are turned over to the live music because he can't talk. I talk to him, all he does is shake his head through the glass. It's awesome. Coming up next, we're going to go one-on-one, quick, short, hard-hitting segment with Mr. Burch, Jeff Burch for Mayor, if you're following him on Twitter. And then the second, bottom of the hour, the second segment, third segment technically. This is the first segment. Bottom of the hour, we'll go to Laura Yip. We'll talk about her time on council, her re-election. Well, I guess it's not a re-election campaign. It's an election campaign for her ward seat, her time on council, and Pearl Gloves. Her opponent got a new job, too. That'll soften her up more than she is already. Taking trips to California, Silicon Valley. Jessica Potts is Laura Yip's opponent for Pearl Gloves. And Yip has been training like a machine, man. We'll talk about her addiction to getting into shape and punching somebody in the mouth. All that and more coming up on the Jim Fannon Show right here on 610 CKTB.
from distant lands, far across the seas, through heat, through ice, through snow. Well, we have come this far, let us not fear now. It is and it's more than we can know. Countless generations, and they mix, they enchant our blood to suit, and to survive the wars, the famines, and the flood, as through our hearts minds come to see.
You're listening to the Jim Fannon Show on 610 CKTV.
Ladies and gentlemen, love is not kind, love isn't seeing, and love is not blind. But it's all these things, and they're given to see that kind of love that we are, we are meant to be. Oh no, love isn't taking long walks by the sea, getting to know you, you knowing me. But it's all of these things, and they're given to see that kind of love that we are, we are meant to be.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannon. That's James Deurloo playing some live bumper music for us today. Jeff Burch is in the studio. How are you doing, brother?
Doing good, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm good. Very impressive walking down William Street, seeing, 60, 70 people, it seemed like. Anyways, coming down the street in purple gear.
A little over 60 people out, so
all right.
A good show.
It was pretty impressive just seeing them walk down the street like that, so well done on the organization. Now,
thank you. It
looks like it's a little bit of a war zone for the campaigns out there. I see Peter Secord campaigning, handed out his platform to people. Of course, everyone knows Walter Senzik took the stickers on the containers there, and then was partially emceeing the event too. So he's getting some great exposure there. What's your strategy when you're going to the park with all your peeps wearing the purple?
Well, yeah, it was interesting to see the different approaches to campaigning in the park.
Definitely.
Mine is I'm trying to build an army of purple supporters. So it's just really a show of how many volunteers we can have and how many building some teamwork before the election starts. So we had a lot of fun. As you know, my campaign office is right down the street at King and William. So
old Green Party
headquarters.
Burn Smith, I think, was parked in there. I was on St. Paul Street, 52 St. Paul, which is, I think is Christina's now. But how do you like being downtown with the campaign?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's really where it belongs. And, I've worked a lot on downtown issues like the Spectator facility and current issues like the Garden City Co-op. And it's, a lot of our supporters are downtown and working on issues and things downtown. So it's a perfect place to be.
What's your overriding strategy for getting yourself elected as mayor?
It's really building support. As you know, we came out pretty early, and we've really just been building up a volunteer base. And there's a lot of things that go on at this point that you don't necessarily see, like building up databases and lists and things like that. So opening or having a campaign office that people can work in early and recruiting volunteers has been really important, so that when we hit the ground in a couple of weeks doing canvassing and things like that, we've got an army of supporters that can get all the work done.
Who you gotten on board? Has the mayor given you an endorsement yet? I always predicted that would come. It seemed like a natural thing.
He's on the front of my leaflet.
I saw that. So he hasn't officially come out and endorsed you, but he is in your photo.
Yeah. He's supported me all along. The mayor asked me to consider running a couple of years ago, so he's really encouraged me to put my name forward all along. So as far as official endorsements go, that's really up to the people that give them, and we'll see how that goes.
Do you think there's a certain segment of the voters that will hold that against you, your relationship with the mayor, because of maybe they don't like the tax implications that we've taken on? Or
I wouldn't worry about it myself. I mean, I've been supportive of all of the things that we've moved forward with over the last 8 years. So those are the things I support, and I supported his positions and his leadership over that time. So it would be kind of dishonest to break with it at this point.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're using social media quite well as well, and then I see Walter coming out saying that he's a specialist, but then 5 tweets of that box that he told people to tweet out, 3 of them were media. So I mean, I guess he doesn't have the savvy that he thinks he does. How are you using it?
Well, I've got, I'd love to take credit for my social media, but to be honest,
you don't know much about it, do you?
I've got good people around me. Let's put it that way. I'm learning a lot about it, and I try and get some advice from people like Laura here every once in a while, but she doesn't want to give it to me. But
no.
Yeah, it's going pretty well, and I think that there's a difference between campaigning with social media and maybe selling a product or running a business with social media, and that's kind of some of the confusion that you're seeing. It has different implications when you apply social media to an election campaign. People can steal your hashtags and things like that.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll get into that maybe if we have time. Peter Secord, a good friend of mine, an old-time friend of mine. I know Peter probably 30 years. Consider him a friend, somebody I could call if I needed something. I was really impressed with his platform that he came out with. He sounded great with Tommy. Well, at least the first half of it. He was really strong. I think maybe he got flustered and frustrated in the last half of the segment or half of the hour when he was on with them. But we don't need to talk about your platform too much. I get an idea of what it is, and it's out there for people that want to find it. But what are you seeing from the other platforms that you say, not so good? I mean, Peter's platform, he asked me yesterday, I said, dude, it's exactly what the electorate wants to hear. Now, I think most people don't get that being mayor, you're only one vote, and you can't control all those things. So you can say you want to cut taxes, freeze taxes, you can say all these things, and that sounds good. That might even get you elected. But really, the mayor doesn't have that much control over stuff. What are you seeing in these platforms that you're not agreeing with?
Exactly
everything
what you just said.
That's it.
No,
Jeff
really
Burch for mayor. He's out of here.
That's really the point, Jim. Is that you have to understand, if you're applying for a job, you have to understand what that job entails, and this job is really one about leadership and setting an example and trying to get a council or a budget committee to row in one direction and under your leadership. And at the end of the day, though, you on a budget committee, you're one of 6 votes. I disagree with Mr. Secord's take on what a budget committee does. I was the last budget chair, and I had more control than the mayor did. The mayor was 1 vote. He's an ex officio member on that committee. And you have to get they make recommendations to council, and then as mayor you're one of 13 votes at council. So it's not like you can make promises now like freezing taxes for a couple of years and think that you can actually carry that through. That's council that makes that decision, not one person.
Now, I called you the accessible one yesterday, and I referred to Walter as the untaggable candidate only because, I mean, when I got this show, I reached out to Walter, said, hey, come on the show. That got me blocked from Facebook. So I don't see him as a consensus builder or somebody. It seems to me and that sometimes in this city, and this, I get so tired of the town, the small town mentality that, if you're not in it with us, and we went head to head as NDP Green guys, and we could go out for beers after. What do you think about this exclusive type of elitist attitude that you're either with me or you're dead? Because I can't get a couple of guys in town even look my way these days.
I think that some of that comes from a certain portion of the business community, and it's unfortunate, but I think it's changing. I think that a lot of it also comes from an inappropriate level of partisanship that comes into local politics. I think municipal politics needs to be a place where, regardless of what party you belong to or what your political stripe, you can get together with people of other opinions, and you can even form a team around an election campaign, because municipal issues are not provincial or federal issues, and you find people from different political parties can actually sit down.
I noticed that with the people walking down William Street yesterday with your crew. I saw a couple really surprising faces there, and I wasn't quiet about it either. I didn't realize that my voice could echo between the Melrose building and what used to be Home Trust down there. But talk to us a little bit about controlling the message. How do you think you've been doing with that? Some guys have let it slip away from. We talked about the Our Home STC as a hashtag that Walter brought out, and now Mike Garrett, one of my favorite tweeters, is all over this, and it seems like it's getting muddied up all. Yeah, I mean, I jumped on it yesterday. I left it alone for about a week and a half, but then after Secord ripped it off at his launch, I'm like, look at this! This is awesome! You try and claim something as your own. Peter Secord rips it, and then Walter does a media release after Secord rips it saying, hey, this is my hashtag. Well, it's not your hashtag. Anybody can tweet it.
The mayor's campaign is a big campaign, and you may be seeing a few rookie mistakes from people that aren't used to running a campaign.
Understandable, too, I guess. Yeah, especially from guys that aren't politicians. Peter Secord, not so much, but...
Yeah, running a campaign of this size, and really, you're not, you can't... everyone's going to try and stake out their territory, but really, you have to pick... a simple platform, and you have to keep repeating it, and those are your priorities, and you have to, educate people as to, this is my campaign, these are my priorities, and stick on message. You can't control other people's messages.
Did you drop your NDP membership? I heard you did.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a member of any political party, and I'm really proud to have people from all four political parties on my campaign
team. Dude, you're
team.
really working the Liberals over.
Yeah,
are you really in with the executive of the Liberal Association in this town? Have they got your back?
I've been to a few events, and they're just joining my campaign team, and it's really a progressive politics that I'm going after. So it doesn't matter to me. You can be a progressive conservative or a liberal or New Democrat. I've got a couple of green people volunteering. So, everyone's welcome if you're progressive and you have progressive ideas. That, like I said, municipal politics is where people can come together and park the party at the door.
Now, I've been very critical of Walter Sendzik staying on as GM, top staffer of the GNCC while he campaigns for mayor. I think it's a huge conflict of interest. I think that he's going to look to have influence in some of these debates. I tried to do a debate. It's a no-go. It's not happening. It's not going off, all right? So I appreciate you coming in. Peter Secord, good friend of mine, like I said, had an invitation last week for the second time. Oh, he went up north. I understand you got to get away with the wife when you have time to, and all that. But speak to I know that some people have been taking shots at you for staying on as executive director of the folk arts. You see that as a conflict? Obviously not, or you would have stepped down. But how do you answer that accusation?
Well, first of all, people have to make a living. And that's if your full-time job is your full-time job. Now, when you look at the folk arts position, for example, a lot of people will misinterpret that because they identify it with the festival, and that's not actually what I do. I run a $2 million settlement operation. I have 26 staff, and we provide federal settlement services to newcomers. We service about 1,500 newcomers a year in Niagara. We have offices all over Niagara, so it's not. It's not conflictual for me to do that. Now, am I careful about using the folk arts name and mixing it with campaigning? Absolutely. And that's just common sense. You don't want to offend people, or there may be people that are associated with the folk arts that are supporting other candidates, and you have to respect other people's opinions and not abuse your position in order to get votes. That's really what I think the key is. You going to stay clean throughout this, or you expect that you're going to get down in the mud with the piggies and get dirty? Because it's been so far so good, but you did have an anonymous complaint on your campaign sign. You had to change that. That cost you some dough. You learned a stiff lesson there, one that you probably should have known already. But I guess the bylaw was kind of vague, but in the interest of just being correct, you put it. You got it changed. And what was the deal with it? Were the letters too big, or what did it have to say? All it said was Jeff Burch for mayor, and now it says Jeff Burch campaign headquarters, right? Yeah, it really had to do with the sign bylaw and what constitutes an election sign. And so it said Jeff Burch for mayor. And I guess if it says Jeff Burch campaign office, it's not an election sign. So who knows? Okay. It still says my name. It's still in big purple letters. So I'm not
do we have
sure.
the Ontario Municipal Act?
No, this is a signed bylaw of the city. Yeah,
All right.
And it really what it's designed for is so that people don't get into putting up lawn signs, 3 months before the election.
Yeah,
It's a
now is it
60-day window.
The 12th of September? Is that when we can put signs up?
No, I think it's like the 20th or 29th of August.
Okay.
It's 60 days
Now,
before
talk to me
election.
about this discrepancy about campaigning on city property. We heard all this bull about Ford Fest and how he was not allowed to have signs, pamphlets, or anything. He couldn't campaign in that park. In fact, they wouldn't have rented him the park if it had been for the campaign. He said it was a family party and open to the public thing. So what's the deal with campaigning at Montebello?
Well, I think you can campaign.
T-shirts, I guess, are good, but I heard that, no signage, no literature, and nothing like that, but it seems like they're flouting it, or I'm not understanding the law right.
I think that if someone rents a park, they're really standing in the place of the city as the renter. So I think that it's really up to the person who is leasing that space. Yeah. Whereas on city property, City Hall, front yard of City Hall, you're not allowed to campaign. So when I made my announcement, I even walked off the property onto the sidewalk. So you gotta be aware of what the laws are and try and follow them. But mistakes are made by people, and you just correct it as quickly as you can and move on.
Jeff Burch for mayor. You can catch him on Twitter, Facebook. You can call him up at City Hall. There's some names, numbers right there on the website. Up next, James Deurloo's taking out a soap with some music, and then Laura, and I are going to mix it up. And no, I do not mean boxing. All that and more right here on 610 CKTB.
Well, now, I thought that you were just a man, that you were lost in your own trials and the tribulation. But you're young and old. Oh, and me, well, I'm hardly new, and we are still in the moment of creation.
You're listening to the Jim Fannon Show on 610 CKTV.
Oh, a brother is one whose heart has found a home in those that blend in this world as it shared a love that is life and the light that is without end. Oh, so here's to my brothers in the faraway place, touched in this Amazon dream.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Fannon. We're tight today. James Deurloo's playing some bumpers in and out from the commercial break as normal. Oh, next week, Jen Chapin, Harry Chapin's daughter. She is awesome. Been really getting into her music. She's playing live next week for us, coming through with the Niagara tour. Get yourself down to Ribfest. Oh, thank you. Yoga by Laura. Yoga by Sarah, my friend, takes an ad, gives these guys at Rotary $1,000. They put Yoga by Laura on the...
I'm not doing yoga.
I got her ribs. She's vegan. I got her ribs last night, and they were awesome until somebody took bites out of them. My guest next is Laura. Yep, Laura, thanks for making the time and being accessible. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
Now, did you get down to Ribfest yet?
No.
Well, you're not a meat eater,
Well,
but you're just not going for the party,
well,
just
no,
the electioning? Or
No.
You don't go down to see the campaign
things,
stickers on the takeout?
No, I've seen enough pictures and heard enough discussion about them that I don't need to go see them for myself.
Now, I think this is awesome. Now, I like to think that I want to be part of the solution, right? Am I a critic? Absolutely. Do I have a take? Yeah. Do I have a big mouth? Am I going to tell you how you think? But at least if I have a problem with you, I'm going to come to you and tell you. I'm not going to go to 100 other people and say, oh, this... so I like to think I'm direct that way. Some people are intimidated by that. But just like I said, when Walter Senza came out for Pearl Gloves, he looked the part. He played the part. Now he's emceeing. He's not fighting this time around. Give credit where credit's due. I don't have any problem doing that, whether it's you, Matt Cisco, the mayor, Jeff Burch. You do something stupid, you're going to hear about it. You do something great, I'm going to give you cred for it. Just like Peter Secord ripping that hashtag at his launch was genius. I'm surprised nobody did it before, but with Sandra Sabo standing at the lectern, for a fundraising speech probably in Peter's backyard, And then to rip that and to get guys like Cisco retweeting it, I think it's genius. So what do you think about the hashtag and the hijacking of it? Now Garrett's calling it hashtag gate. It's brilliant.
Okay, well, we have to stop using the gate suffix on everything because it's just not. I mean, so Senzik launches on June 24th. Secord launches on July 23rd, I think, and rips off the hashtag. And then there's a media release about the hashtag as if to say, no, it's mine. Right? Hashtags are not intellectual property, right? And people make up hashtags. I've had some really silly Twitter exchanges with people where we've just hashtagged everything, right? So it's not... if you're trying to do it to build community, which is what the media release indicates, then really, why are you upset? I read a media release that
Walter said that he was going to bring more people out to the polls with his expertise in social media.
I mean,
I'm savvy in social media, but even if you put the best of social media minds together, I don't care how many followers you got, it's not going to change the outcome of the polls, I don't think.
No, it's not. And I mean, it's in line with, it's not the same thing, but it's in line with things like online voting don't increase voter turnout. So, they don't. So you can engage people better by using social media well, but having a temper tantrum over your hashtag is maybe not the way to do that.
Nice choice of words.
Sorry.
The always diplomatic Laura Yep. Now, tell us a little bit about your time on council. You're appointed, so
yes.
I retract what I said. You're really not in a re-election campaign.
No, and I'm not using
your signs
re-elect.
Can't say re-elect, right?
Well,
or
I mean, I
they?
guess they can.
Oh, because officially, were you elected?
No, but and that's the thing. I mean, people have said, "Oh, you should use re-elect."
No,
but that doesn't. That's not
work.
Respectful of the process, right?
No, for sure.
So I was appointed. I will be using return Laura Yep to get the message out there that I am there.
You're there, and you want to go back.
Yeah. But no, I fully respect the process, and I won't be using re-elect.
Okay. So. Now, how about your time on council? How's it been? Tell me what you've been frustrated by. First of all, because all the good things are good, and you can talk about that all day.
What have I been frustrated by? I'm not the best politician. I get frustrated by the political kind of.
You get frustrated by politicians.
Stuff, yeah.
Now that you are one, you don't really consider yourself one.
Well, and it's fun. Well, yeah, and I think. I mean, other people don't really consider me one. I've had conversations with people. They've said, "Oh, I don't want any politicians there," and then somebody goes, "Hey, Laura's over there," and they go, "Oh, right," but she's not really a politician.
Right.
So, I mean, because I think there's really we should just be getting down to business and putting a lot of that the politics aside and doing what needs to be done.
Party stripes and
yeah.
Now, you've got an extremely more elevated profile now than you did before you were appointed.
Yeah.
I would suspect, and especially with Pearl Gloves, I mean, you're out there.
Yes.
So how are you handling the extra exposure that your life is getting and the microscope that you could possibly be coming under?
It's uncomfortable for me. I mean, people are surprised when I say this, but I'm actually a massive introvert. So to have all the attention and, to go somewhere and somebody who I don't know approaches me and says, "How's the training going?" I'm like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Having the extra attention is, it's uncomfortable and it's difficult, but it's part of the gig.
What are you going to have an official campaign launch, or you're already in campaign mode? I mean, you filed your papers. Oh,
I filed my papers before
January.
I was appointed, so that everybody would know what my intentions were. No, I won't be having any sort of big official campaign launch. I'll just the campaigning will start very soon, likely.
Okay.
But
who do you expect to be running against? Is there anybody? Is Robert George?
Well,
already
right
filed?
now we've got in alphabetical order: Robert George, Andrew Muhlenbeck, and Sal Sorrento running.
Sal's in again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the three of them are running against me in that ward. I anticipate that there will be 2 more people, but that remains to be seen. They've got a month and a bit to file their nominations.
What's your overriding strategy for getting yourself elected?
First of all, letting people know that I am there, that I've worked, and that I did, regardless of the fact that I was appointed, I still worked hard to be there. I worked hard in 2 election campaigns to get elected. So I've done the footwork in that regard, and I will do it again. But I mean, I'm looking at, fiscal responsibility. We have to do, people keep saying we have to retain the youth, but there's a whole lot of things that go into that, to do that. consensus building, community building, communication. I mean, that one of the biggest complaints that at least I've heard, and I've heard it for years, is that people, once they're elected, stop communicating with the people who elected them. Right. So I've always been a big proponent for just communicating.
Pearl Gloves, how pumped are you about that? And how uncomfortable is it going to be to punch that pretty Jessica Potts in the...
Well, okay, so Pearl Gloves itself, I'm probably equal parts terrified and excited about this. Jessica and I are friends. I mean, she keeps saying she can punch me in the face, which is a little frightening. I don't know if I could punch her in the face. We haven't gotten there yet. But
you haven't sparred with her yet?
No, there's been no sparring yet.
You got knocked out the other day, or knocked down?
I got knocked down.
Okay.
I got knocked
Put you on your
down
butt.
and couldn't breathe.
And now,
that was not fun.
Was that Terrence that knocked you down?
Yes.
So he can hit.
Yeah.
And he has no problem hitting a girl.
No. Well, I think you've got boxing gloves on.
You're in the ring, man.
Right.
You got your gear on and you're sparring.
So,
you're going to have to be taught the hard way what it's like to take a hook to the head.
Yeah, he took me down, got me right sort of under my ribs. And,
it was a body shot.
Oh, yeah. It was a body shot. And on my way down, I was going, no, stay up. He's back. No, I'm down. I couldn't even, there was nothing. I couldn't do anything.
What's it been like training with Terrence? He's an animal, eh?
He's a great trainer,
yeah.
Great motivator. So I train with him once or twice a week. I haven't been in the last 2 weeks because of my schedule, but train with him once or twice a week, and then I'm at the St. Catharines Boxing Club about twice a week as well.
With Flesh?
Yeah.
Is he training you there?
Well, he's not training me. He's
okay.
not a trainer.
Okay.
Joe Corrigan.
Really? Eh?
Is the head trainer and owner of the boxing club. Paul Zara, who's actually fighting LaFleche, is a trainer there as well.
Okay.
So I've been doing a bit of work with him, and then whoever else just sort of has time to work hand pads or whatever.
Cool. What do you want to do to get in trouble after the show stops today? Because I mixed it up yesterday on my way to Ribfest, and then I just had to go see what it looked like.
I'm not. No,
Peter Seacard's like, oh man, you're really stirring it today. I said, hey, what do you want, man?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I'm no.
Nothing? No, you don't want to get in trouble.
I don't want to get in trouble.
All right. Laura Yip, how do we get a hold of you if we want to support you in your campaign?
An extremely long email address, Laura Yip for St. George's Ward @gmail.com, or telephone is 905-984-0741.
That is Laura Yip. She's standing for election. Return Laura Yip to City Council. Thanks for your accessibility. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Up next, James Deurloo is going to play a full song on the way back. He's going to play on the way out here shortly, and on the way back he'll do a full song, then we'll do a short interview with him, and that ends the Jim Fannon Show on 610 CKTB.
Well, there was a time on the wide open prairie, deep in the forest, by the rivers and streams, high on the mountain, oh, one in love. Well, the first time I saw you, stars, they began to shine, and I could not have dreamt you, woman, you're that fine, that here and in this old heart, with its cobwebs, such lonely time, you are the morning, and I'm your sun that shines on this new day, oh, this new day dawning with joy that is ours to find. Let it be, and be so forever. It's sweet sight for the blind, giving thanks with all of creation for the wonder that is in all. I promise promise now to love you, to answer this call, 'cause the first time that I saw you, the stars began to shine. I never could have dreamt you, woman, you're that fine.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannon. Every Sunday at noon, we're here. Noon to 1, that's James Deurloo. He's going to come in and do a little interview with us, and I finally pulled it up. It was a Hits FM presentation. Ill Scarlet last night and Moist. I love Moist. Not a huge fan of Ill Scarlets, but Canal Days last night, Hits FM presenting Ill Scarlet and Moist, and we've got an Elvis tribute act coming up today, and then Mike Wainwright's back in town, a longtime friend of the show. The Caverners, Beatles tribute band, are back. They're going to light that thing up, so get your ass down to Ribfest today. Get yourself a little piggy at Montebello Park, and then get down to Canal Days in Port Colborne. James, thanks very much for coming in. Step right up to the microphone there and tell us a little bit about yourself to the listeners.
Well, I immigrated from Holland in 1950. I immigrated from Holland in 1955 and started school in Wainfleet, lived in the Niagara Peninsula till I was around 16 years old, started traveling around playing music, and eventually got to a point where I had a family and started raising up a son with my wife Joni, and worked at the paper mill for 22 years and provincial crane before that. So, it's pretty good to be retired at 55 and able to travel and play music and do what's on my heart to do.
Where have you been traveling around playing music?
Well, a couple years ago, shortly after I retired, we did a tour across the country from Victoria back this way with a fellow called Xavier Rudd. He's an environmental activist, and he invited the Aniagara Singers to go along and play the big drum.
And now locally, you're doing stuff locally as well?
Yeah.
I know you played the coach at Batter Up Fish and Chips there. That's my connection to you. Lisa Bitter recommended you highly, so that's how you got in here. So.
Yeah, and the My Stage Mondays.
Yeah, what a great gig, eh? Aaron Berger and Nathaniel Gould, I think, are spearheading that.
Right.
And talented out the wahoo. Yeah. I mean, Aaron Berger and Nathaniel as well. Nathaniel from Black Flies, Aaron Berger from Aaron Berger and the Blue Stars. But what a talent.
Yeah, and they're bringing together a lot of people that are just, really love to play and want to get their music and their hearts out there. And there's a lot of stuff going on. There's seems to be a real concentration of artists, getting together and, getting past a lot of, the politics and stuff and just getting down and playing good music.
Now,
Last Monday was phenomenal at the Capitol Q.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Oh, too bad.
I've been out the previous 3 or 4 weeks. I think I've been out to it, and just a great feel. It was somebody's birthday last week or something.
Well, we did Laurie's.
Oh, the PPP played last week.
Well, the PPP played, and they were doing, trying to support Laurie for her.
Oh, okay, yeah. Laurie Lococo running for city council.
Right.
How do you describe your music?
Well, I call my music spirit folk medicine.
What's that mean?
Well, I started off as a folk singer, right?
Okay.
But I
medicine
realized
for the soul?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
And we, we're a collective of people. We have an energy that we share, an appreciation that we share. And I realized, like audiences and their appreciation of what you're giving them is going to determine, what they are able to take away from a performance. And so what you're able to give them is giving them back what we all share in terms of appreciation for the life and the creator that's within us all.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, I'm meeting a lot of people that are heavily spiritual, but without God. How do you have spirituality in your life without God?
Well, I don't think we can ever adequately describe God. I think that's
so you believe in a
something
higher power, a creator, or something that's controlling, whether you call it the universe or Buddha or whatever you call it. You believe
Well,
in
I think that, all the different references are shards of that truth that come together to give us the whole picture. And as we respect each other and honor that in each other, the fullness of that spirit folk medicine will come together in a way that we can understand and see more through an open heart. And, the intellect can then, delve into, a fertile ground and continue to understand and realize and celebrate this life that, we've been given, all of creation is the most generous gift of all. It's everything. And, we've got lots to be thankful for. So when we realize that around us and in each other, life can be a celebration.
No, your album's called The Ancient Unborn Voice. Where'd you get the title for that? What's it mean?
Well, The Ancient Unborn Voice is realizing that this eternal moment of creation is actually as infinite and perfect as we're willing to accept. And when we can look back over the countless generations that have come before that have brought us to this moment in time and be faithful and respectful with that, so that those generations that are yet to come can know that there's a good and sure, solid link to being in this opportunity to experience and celebrate life.
James, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate your time. You got anything up for the holiday weekend?
Well, I haven't
What's
made
left
any
of it?
plans, but something's going to come up, I'm sure.
My thanks to Jeff Burch, Laura Yip for coming in and going one-on-one with me, and James Deurloo for providing some music for our bumpers and an interview at the end of the show. I am Jim Fannon. I will see you Monday. That's tomorrow. 9 to 1, I'm in for Tommy's last day on holidays. And Sunday next week at noon, every week at noon, right here on 610 CKTV. I'm Jim Fannon, and I'm out.